Hello and welcome back, and welcome to the wonderful Lancashire weather. It's actually easier scything when it's wet, so this isn't a bad thing when I'm scything. It creates higher friction on the grass and makes it easier to slice through the grass instead of just flopping over. So today I'm going to be starting a new program of videos on learning to scythe. On this first video, we'll be focusing on what you'll get when you buy a scythe and seeing whether scythe is for you. First of all, there's different scythes which you can get. The most common, and the ones which I'd advise you getting, is the Austrian style scythes. These are lightweight scythes which make it quite easy work scything. You do get English and American style and the Scottish style scythes. These tend to be much heavier. As in today's society we tend not to be scything all the time, I'd advise going for the Austrian style scythes, which are more local homesteads where they were just doing a bit of scything on their own land. So looking at these scythes, let's have a look at what you need. So first of all, when you buy a scythe, you'll be buying the snath. The snath consists of a shaft, a vertical section, and two handles. You notice that I've got different coloured ones. They come in this pale coloured, which is basically natural ash, and then mine have gone a bit yellow, and this is purpose because I put linseed oil on. This is to help protect and maintain the scythe. So I'll be doing the same with this handle, but this is just a new handle at the moment. As part of the snath, you'll have a clamp which puts the blade onto it, and you have two grub screws on here, which you'll need an Allen key to be able to open. And they normally come with the Allen key. You also, to attach the handles, you've got bolts, and so you need a 10mm spanner to put them on. They don't normally come with a spanner, so you probably want to get one of those if you've not got one in already. And finally, you'll quite often get a wedge. It's just a piece of wood, not really required, you can just find yourself one, but it's just a slanted piece of wood which you can use to change the lay of the blade, whether it goes higher or lower. Okay, so that's all for parts of the snath. You then need to get yourself a whetstone to sharpen the blade. Have different types of whetstone. I would suggest the Saurat whetstone. This is one which can get quite a lot of material off. It's not as fine as the Rogitech. Good for rough mowing as well as mowing grass. So it's quite a nice all-rounder. So yes, I'd recommend, if you just get one stone, get the Saurat one. And at the start I suggest just getting one of everything, because you need to find out whether you actually want to scythe or not. It's quite a difficult thing to learn to do, there's a lot of effort, so get one at the start. If you enjoy it, then get more later. As well as getting your whetstone, you want a stone sheath. This is just something to carry water in and your stone in, so it can be constantly wet. Your stones will sharpen better when they're in water, so yeah, you want, particularly natural stones, you want them to be in water when you're sharpening your blades. There's only ones like sandstone which can be sharpened without water, which you won't be getting. Then you want to get your blade. There's different blades you can get. This is a Styria blade, which is probably the one I'd advise you getting. It's a ditch blade with a point on the end which will help protect it if you hit a stone. Other blades such as Profisense is quite good if you're going to be getting grass, but I'd advise, as a starting off, get the Styria, particularly if you're going in rougher areas. If you're mowing just grass, maybe the Profisense would be good if it's on sort of flat ground without too many stones. The sort of size of blade that you may want to start off with, I wouldn't go for too big at the start. This is probably the ideal size, a 65cm Styria blade. You may also want to get yourself some sanding paper, or they quite often come as a Jerry Flex block, which is just a sanding block, which helps you to clean your blade. As well as that, I would suggest, even when you first start, is getting peening equipment, because if you're going to be doing any amount of mowing, you really want to make sure your blade is good and sharp. If you're doing any grass, you definitely want peening equipment to make it so you've got a nice flat edge. Basically, a peening equipment is where you hammer down the edge of the blade so that you can then get a nice fine edge when you're honing the blade, when you're sharpening it with the stone. I would suggest at the start just getting a peening jig. They cost about, I don't know, 30, 40 pounds, and then you can get this whole set together for about 200, just a bit over 200 pounds probably in the UK at this point in time. Of course, prices always just increase. That's about the range that you'd be looking at. Other things you may want to also consider getting is a pitchfork so you can clean away your grass. Remember, all the grass is going to be quite long when you're scything with a scythe, unless you're scything when it's really short. And you probably also want a rake of some sort, but then just a general rake. It isn't even a grass rake, and I find this works really well. So before you go and order yourself a scythe, you need to know whether it's appropriate for you or not. So if you want to mow grass very quickly without having to put in a long time learning how to do it, then a scythe probably isn't for you. But if you want it as part of a hobby, getting out into nature, listening to the birds around you, being able to understand your ground and feel it and get a bit of history, then the scythe is probably for you. There's a good reason why we've moved away from scythes, because they are less efficient and you can get a lot more done, less training needed, being able to do it with just petrol powered tools. With the current environment, and if you want a bit of fun learning how to use a scythe, then it's great to have a go. And it's quite a cool tool to be able to use and to pick up. Thank you for watching. The next video that you need to watch is this one just up here on how to set up the scythe for you and get it adjusted ready for mowing. See you next time.